I'm a man in my 40s, and for 10 years I believed I was building a family, not rehearsing a role. I didn't know the moment that would end, everything was already waiting for me in my own kitchen. This is the story of how silence finally said what love never could. After 10 years of marriage, my wife looked at me and said, "You'll never be her real dad. Stop pretending." She didn't shout it. She didn't cry. She said it calmly, like a fact she'd been holding on to for years. I didn't respond. I felt something inside me shut off, like a breaker snapping in the dark. No sparks, no drama, just quiet. The next morning, I heard her and my stepdaughter laughing together, and that sound finished what her words had started. It happened on a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary day that makes betrayal feel unreal. Karen and I were arguing about Ashley, my stepdaughter, who was 17 and wanted to go to a weekend party 3 hours away. I said no. School weekend. Parents I didn't know. The kind of answer dads give without thinking twice. Karen's face changed. Her eyes hardened in a way I'd been noticing more often, like affection had slowly been replaced with tolerance. We were standing in the kitchen I remodeled myself 3 years earlier, measuring twice, sanding late into the night, believing I was improving a home we shared. She crossed her arms and said it, that sentence heavy with resentment. "You'll never be her real dad. Stop pretending." I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't remind her of the years. I just walked away. I went into the garage and sat in my workshop, organizing screws that were already sorted, wiping tools that were already clean. Hours passed. The silence felt loud, but it also felt final. Karen never came to look for me. When I finally went inside, she was asleep in our bed. I slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying moments I'd always thought meant something. I met Karen when Ashley was 7. Her biological father had vanished before she could remember his face. For 10 years, I packed lunches, checked homework, taught her to ride a bike, stood in the rain at soccer games, and sat through parent-teacher conferences where teachers called me her dad without hesitation. I wasn't pretending. I was showing up. Somewhere along the way, that stopped being enough. The next morning, laughter woke me. Not soft laughter. Sharp, careless laughter drifting from the kitchen. I stood in the hallway and listened. Ashley's voice carried first. "I can't believe you finally said it to him. His face was priceless." Karen laughed with her. "It's the truth. He needed to hear it, acting like he has some right. He's just the guy who pays the bills." That was the moment everything settled into clarity. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was done. I moved slowly, deliberately. Upstairs, I pulled 2 old duffel bags from the closet. I packed clothes, toiletries, and the framed photos of my parents from my nightstand. I left everything else, the soccer photos, the Father's Day mug that said "World's Best Bonus Dad." It all felt staged now, like props from a play I didn't realize had ended. While I packed, I made calls. First, a realtor named Tom. I told him I needed to sell my house fast. He was surprised but ready. The house was mine. Bought before the marriage. Half paid off before Karen ever moved in. The prenup she'd called insulting but signed anyway was suddenly very important. By afternoon, paperwork was ready. By morning, there would be a sign in the yard. When the house was quiet, I wrote a note on a scrap of paper. 7 words. "You're right. I'm not her real dad, and you're not my real family." I left it on the kitchen counter and walked out without looking back. I spent that day moving money, calling my lawyer, rerouting paychecks, closing emotional accounts as efficiently as financial ones. The joint account got 1 month of bills, nothing more. That night, I slept on my friend Mark's couch, feeling lighter than I had in years. The text started the next afternoon, a photo of the note. "What is this?" I didn't answer. Karen's calls followed, angry, confused, then panicked. I ignored them all. The next morning, she screamed through the phone about the for sale sign. I answered calmly. "It's my house, Karen. I'm selling it." I told her to read the prenup. I told her she had 30 days, maybe 60. Then I blocked her. Her mother called next, furious, accusing me of cruelty. I corrected her calmly. I didn't abandon a family. I stopped funding people who mocked me. I hung up and blocked her too. The entitlement stunned me. They truly believed I owed them everything, even after respect was gone. The lawyer email came a few days later, full of threats and demands. My lawyer responded with documents and silence followed. The house sold within a week, over asking. 45 days to closing. The clock ticked loudly. Ashley reached out on social media, not to apologize, to demand money. College, car payments, phone bills. I replied once, "I'm not your real dad. I'm not responsible for your finances." She exploded with insults. I screenshot everything, sent it to Karen with one sentence, then blocked Ashley everywhere. The weeks before closing were quiet. I heard Karen was panicking, apartment hunting, shocked by how expensive life was without my income. A mutual friend asked if I'd help her get on her feet. I laughed. I explained the comment, the laughter, the truth she left out. The request stopped. On closing day, I signed papers, watched money wire into my account, and sent Karen her legal share. Clean. Final. That night, in my empty apartment, Karen called from a new number. She sounded broken. She said I was throwing away 10 years over one comment. I told her it wasn't the comment. It was what it revealed. I blocked her again. A month later, Ashley's biological father called. We met at a diner. I told him everything. He listened, disgusted. He said he'd failed her once. But what she and Karen did to me was cold. He tried to talk to Ashley. It went badly. She screamed at him too. Some lessons can't be taught, only lived. Karen's final move was attacking my business, calling a client to paint me as unstable. The client called me immediately. I told the truth. She believed me. Karen failed again. Last I heard, Karen works 2 jobs. Ashley works fast food and attends community college. Her real dad sends money with notes about gratitude. I saw Karen once in a grocery store. She looked through me like I was already a memory. I felt nothing. Now my life is quiet. I work. I hike with my dog. I sleep peacefully. I'm not pretending anymore. The strangest part wasn't the loss, but the absence of regret. I kept waiting for guilt to arrive, for doubt to crawl in at night, but it never did. Instead, there was space to breathe, space to hear my own thoughts without them being filtered through someone else's expectations. I realized how often I had shrunk myself to keep peace, how often I'd accepted being tolerated instead of valued, how love had quietly turned transactional without me noticing the exchange rate changing. I replayed moments I once treasured and saw them clearly for the first time. The way Karen corrected Ashley when she called me dad. The jokes about my rules being outdated. The way decisions about money were always framed as shared until it was time to say thank you. None of it was loud, none of it obvious. It was erosion, slow and patient, until one sentence finally exposed the foundation. People ask if I miss Ashley. I miss the child she was, the girl who held my hand crossing streets, who fell asleep on my shoulder during movies, who once cried when I missed a school play because I was sick. I don't miss the person she chose to become when entitlement replaced empathy. Loving someone doesn't mean accepting disrespect, and I learned that lesson too late to save the family, but early enough to save myself. Starting over wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. I bought cheap furniture. I cooked simple meals. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. Peace doesn't announce itself. It settles in gently, like light through a window you forgot was there. Some nights I sat on the floor, eating takeout, listening to the city outside, and felt more at home than I ever did in that house. I didn't win anything. I didn't get revenge. I reclaimed myself. There's a difference. Walking away wasn't punishment. It was alignment. When words and actions finally matched, there was nothing left to argue about, only forward. If you've ever stayed somewhere you were only tolerated, if you've ever been reduced to what you provide instead of who you are, remember this. Love without respect is just a contract, and contracts can be terminated. Tell me what you would have done, and whether silence would have been your answer too. Your story matters here, so share it, reflect deeply, and speak honestly.